But Don has not done that well in television. He's had 4 series now. The last one, a couple of Dons received a -4 Nielsen rating. This means not only that no one watching, but several people without TV sets had heard about the show and said if they got one, they wouldn't watch it.
What's up, everybody? Today we are at the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Hollywood. And today we're going to be talking all about George Robert Newhart, aka, or better known as, Bob Newhart. And don't worry, hang tight, we will get to the gravesite. But yeah, first, a little bit of story time. Now, as you can see, today is a rainy, dreary day, and although I'm waterproof, I'm fine, my camera is not. So we're gonna get through this. Part of this may be me just talking in my car. We will get to the gravesite of both Bob Newhart and Ginnie Newhart, his wife. But first, I want to talk about his life in Hollywood, because I find his one of the most fascinating stories and how he got into Hollywood. And we're going to get into that real quick. Now, as I have mentioned earlier, he was born George Robert Newhart. Now, the reason why he went with Bob, his middle name Rob, shortened to Bob, is because his father was also George Newhart. And to avoid confusion, they started calling Bob Newhart Bob Newhart. And he was born in Chicago. Now, he was born during the Depression, like at the beginning of the Depression. And it was kind of cool too to find out that he was a German-Irish descendant, because yours truly can relate to that. Now, he was a middle-class family in Chicago. But the interesting thing is even though he dabbled in theater in high school, he would go on to college and he would end up studying accounting. After he served 2 years in the military, he would go on to find a job as a bookkeeper. Again, interesting that somebody so funny and so talented was actually a bookkeeper. But it was at the time when he was a bookkeeper that people started recognizing how funny he was. And this is a part that I find so fascinating, is that during the time working as a bookkeeper, to entertain himself, because it was so boring, and to entertain his other employees around him, he would make these fake phone calls. But within these fake phone calls, he would develop these characters. You know, he would call up friends and kind of prank call them. And while he was doing this, his dry sense of humor would come out, and people would just be rolling on the ground because he was so sarcastic and he was so just dry in his delivery. And you know, he could keep a straight face where most people couldn't while they're doing comedy. And he did it so well that the office that he worked at said, "Hey man, you do this so well that we need to film this, and we need to show this around because you're so funny." What they did was they sent that film to a local radio station. The radio station didn't really pay too close attention to it, and they kind of pushed it to the side. However, there was one DJ at this radio station that he kind of caught his ear, kind of caught his eye. Because of that DJ, he would invite Bob Newhart to the radio station and gave him airtime, like live airtime on the radio. He thought he was so funny. I know it doesn't really look like it right now. I might have a little bit of drops on my camera lens there, but I am getting wet. Yeah, I hope this is appreciated. Now, a few weeks later, the disc jockey would invite Bob Newhart onto the radio station and gave him quite a bit of time to just go at it. Let him kind of just riff. And he did. And because he did that, he actually caught the ear of Warner Brothers. But so they caught wind of it, or they heard it on the radio at least. And they thought he was brilliant, and they brought him in and they signed him a contract on the spot to do live shows. And these live shows were recorded and they were distributed as albums. They were comedy albums. Now this was circa 1960, and those albums got so much recognition, so much word of mouth, that he did a couple other albums, comedy albums, and all of these albums won awards. His first album won a Grammy as Best Album of the Year. He was on his way up. I mean, he went from bookkeeping, accounting, to a comedian almost overnight. It was around this time when Bob Newhart was rising up and he was doing a stand-up comedy that he met and married Jeannie Quinn. It was January 12th, 1963 when they got married. Hello, I'm just breaking in to let you know that her nickname was actually Ginnie, not Jeannie. My apologies. I will probably have a few parts where I say Jeannie in it again, but realize I know it's Ginnie. Back to the video. Bob Newhart's stand-up would skyrocket him into the TV world. He would do several sitcoms. The Bob Newhart Show was between 1972 and 1978, and then he would go on to do another sitcom in the 80s, simply named Newhart. So I'm just going to wrap up this with Bob Newhart's career. We also have to remember that Bob Newhart was also in movies. He was in several movies. I'm not going to go through all of his movies that he's been in, but here's a few. He's been in Catch-22 that came out in 1970. He was in and Out that came out in 1997. And probably my favorite, Elf. He played Papa Elf. He's the one that basically took on Will Ferrell's character and raised him. I'm not going to give away too much. Go check out the movie. But anyway.
Thank you, Tommy and Dick. There are more planes in the air today than ever before in the history of aviation. And our airports are overcrowded, and it's just about impossible to control all of that air traffic. I don't know if you've ever been in an airport control tower, but at every busy airport, there's one guy, and his job is to keep track of everything. He is called the traffic control officer.
Miami 209, yeah, you're a little off course. Could you speak a little slower? Who is this, anyway? Just a passenger. Could you let me speak to someone in charge? You are. Where's the pilot? How about the stewardess? They are. You ever landed a big plane like this before? No, it's easy. You just disengage your automatic pilot. It's a lever over your head to the right. Not all the way to the right. You already pulled it. I don't know how to tell you this. You just emptied the washroom.
Now this is George Robert Newhart, and like I said, as mentioned before, he changed his name to Bob to cut down on the confusion between his dad's name. So George Robert Newhart, September 5th, 1929 to July 18th, 2024. Husband, brother, dad, friend, grandpa, poppy, and all-around funny guy. His goodness outweighed his greatness. This is Bob Newhart's wife, Virginia Lillian Quinn Newhart. She was born December 9th, 1940, and she passed away April 23rd, 2023. Wife, sister, mom, friend, Badgie, Guya, Grandma, Yaya. And on the bottom it says, our rock and our heart. Now I'm gonna claim my ignorance right here. I have no idea what some of those words even meant, but that's what's on her headstone. Bob Newhart was about 10 or 11 years older than Jeannie. When Bob Newhart passed away, I believe he was 94. I just want to say to Bob Newhart that thank you so much for being who you were and making us all laugh, and just how funny he was. I mean, man, the guy was a goat, and guy could And the guy could just make it just about anybody laugh with his deadpan kind of sense of humor. And just, I have a lot of memories, a lot of fond memories of Bob Newhart from his movies and his sitcoms. Rest in peace. And of course, Ginnie Newhart, rest in peace. So glad that, you know, they were able to have these headstones and be buried right next to each other. I think that's beautiful. Kind of escaping the rain a little bit here, but I also want to just bring up how Bob Newhart passed away. He passed away in his Bel Air home, his mansion, and died of multiple complications. I mean, he was 94. I mean, I can only hope to live up to 80. I hope I can get to 80. So 94 it's not a bad ride. And just out to the Bob Newhart family, his kids, and all his grandkids. I know I'm a person who's lost a parent before myself, and in no way, shape, or form is it easy to lose a parent. But I couldn't imagine right now if I also lost my dad. And my condolences. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, but in this case, a distant memory. If you like this video, check out this video right over here. I went out and paid mad respects to Richard Simmons. Check that video out right there. And if you want to see another video, check this video out right over here. I'll see you guys over in either one of those, and take care. Bye-bye.